This is a reading of Kintsugi Walnut, 22 Years of Writing, by myself, Maggie Hess. We're on the second part of this book, the first piece of writing, Moody Tourist in Costa Rica. Moody Tourist in Costa Rica, 2001. March 2nd, 2001. Myra, the woman who picked us up at the airport, let us share her bed. Anna had flown to Australia from Australia to California to Houston to Costa Rica in the preceding 48 hours. I had traveled my share from Washington, D.C. to Houston to San Jose, Costa Rica. That night, Anna tried to instill in me the manners that came natural to her. As I fluffed the pillow on the double bed, Anna scowled. You said yes for both of us. Now Myra and her little son have to sleep on the sofa. Don't you ever think of anyone but yourself? It really hadn't crossed my mind, but I could think on my feet. I accept for your sake. You know better Spanish than I have, and I have never been abroad. You have huge bags under your eyes. You wouldn't be an effective tour guide for me if you get sleep deprivation psychosis, I rebutted. Anna lay down on the bed, giving in. She was exhausted, but her head was spinning around. A half hour later, she sat up. What am I going to do? I really might go insane if I don't sleep. Again I won. Take one of these, I said, handing her a sleeping drug and her scummy water bottle. The sun beamed down on us through the window, and Anna hitched her clunky water around the untanned strip of her wrist. She had been instructed by Mom's cousin to visit her stepdaughter in Arabia. Anna was less than thrilled about spending this valued time acting like a tourist. You think you are above everything, I pointed out, thinking about it as constructive criticism. We were sitting on a pile of backpacks in a language school in the most traveled section of a country that got more of its budget from tourist industry than any nation south of the border. Anna explained to me that there were lots of borders in the world, not just one. Do we have to wait in this country for our second cousin? I wondered. Why we couldn't enjoy this new thing, traveling, which was our life. Get on up, Anna commanded. I hopped up, unaware that I could influence my sister's orders. We are going to a tour of a banana plantation. We can pretend to be tourists for an hour, she conceded. I was going to point out her apparent hypocrisy, but then the tour guide handed me a tiny banana and instinctively broke off and handed the rest to Anna. That banana was heaven. It was a choir singing. It was a beam of sun after a year of rain. It tasted sweet, yet subtle. It was nothing anything that Anna or I ever had before. Our eyes locked. In this peaceful country, the guide gave us more bananas. Anna smiled. Anna could handle tourists for a day, and I felt something deeper in me, permanence, even in transit, like a pilgrim. There were lots of tour guides, many of them in interpretive dress, explaining the coffee was an interplanted with small bananas. According to the tour, the bananas grew happier in symbiotic relationship with the coffee because they took in more nitrogen, which is what plants in the bean family produce. For a couple minutes, there were enough bananas to end all wars. Two sisters, a pilgrim and a tourist, linked arm in arm, walked together down the road. March 3rd, 2001. During our 6-hour bus ride from San Jose to Monteverde, I spent an hour or so watching an extremely cute little girl. She sat in front of Anna and me, high up on the seat, balancing somehow on the top of the back seat. She ate chips, talked to two blonde-haired ladies behind her. I saw the backs of everyone's heads. The girl's face was very expressive, and almost always she smiled. I thought of her as a little angel. Angelita, I whispered, watching her petite reflection in the bus window. Everyone thought the pain was branded with what I would have called American names. Anna corrected me on that one quick enough. Haven't you heard? We're still in America, Central America. Either way, I counted the Shell gas station and McDonald's and Pizza Hut. Everywhere the vendors selling Cokes and Snicker bars. Now that we had made it to a town where we will be staying our 3 months, I was beginning to understand the desire to blend in. The tourists who occupied the room next to our hotel were decidedly immature. They loudly made remarks about Anna and me that hurt our feelings. I started to pipe up that they gave the United States, a bad name, but Anna hushed me up quick enough. No enemies allowed, apparently. We had to rest up for hours for tomorrow's walk. She handed me a laminated guide of mammals of Costa Rica. I gulped, wondering if these strange creatures were friendly. I asked Anna, but she had turned off the light. The next day I staggered around the dining room, blathering about bacon and eggs. Before Anna could hush me or teach me a lesson about respecting local food customs, my instinctive nostrils met their match. Something sweet. Then I saw it, a plate piled with fruits from pineapple to papaya to mango, and what looked like a milkshake for each of us. This will keep your sis from saying inappropriate things, Eduardo had been there at the bus station last night. Apparently he had at least 3 children who were really artistic and was really artistic with fruit. Plato de fruto, he explained to our stuffed faces, is the most traditional Costa Rican meal. Plate of fruit, I translated with my 4 years of high school Spanish. Eduardo introduced the rainforest to us. For Anna, he pointed out one plant for her to begin her botanical drawing. For me, he added humor, Pika Pika. He warned, if you need toilet paper, you should buy it. This plant is 100 times worse than poison ivy. He grinned, releasing us into our lush and chattering forest. March 4th, 2001. I sit on my swing in the playground, the sun on my shoulders, and the music of teenage guitar in my ears. I wish I could engage myself in the Quaker potluck. I want to become friends with these people. I want to live here and sing on Sundays. Perhaps I can befriend the children first. But what would I say? A girl threw a fork on the roof. A small boy is trying to climb the tree to retrieve it. I am happily amazed at the extent of work they are rescuing the fork. So I feel I am intruding Sadly, I feel I am intruding and might attempt the conversation with the adults. Failure. I find myself in such a melancholy down after the ecstasy of singing in church. During silence, I contemplated living here forever. So I went up to a lady just now and asked her what the Quakers do for a living. She wasn't friendly and left soon after I sat down beside her. How quickly I go from wanting to stay here for life to feeling horrible about being here at all. The boys, aged 3 to 7, are playing toss the hat and fight over the hat, running around. The teams seem pretty nice. I talked with this student from the States. I wish Daddy had moved here in the 6th grade. I wish I was in the 6th grade. Then life would be so much better. Here's a realization I came to during the long silence. It is stupid for me to work at a summer camp because that is where my heart is. It is stupid for me to waste money of the world going to expensive college. The kids are taking pig Latin at the clubhouse tree. Talking pig Latin, rather. The boys like to shake the tree. It flops around me and whack my notebook. The boys in the library are playing Dungeons and Dragons. The Quakers are talking about the medieval weapons are cooler, makes me laugh. These kids here are like Anna and Joey and me growing up in their play and nature. They are friends we never had because we never moved here. I wonder how many hours I've spent attempting to read but failing as my mind gushes with thoughts. I wonder if my weirdness is due to A. Post-psychotic break strangeness, B. Post-Lyme disease strangeness, or C. Culture shock. I do not feel a bit better about the Quakers here because one of the teenagers is playing D&D in the library asked me what time it is, and the director of the Friends School invited Anna to come talk to the kids. Of course, there's always an annoying fact that Anna is the glorious somebody. I am the annoying tourist. Why am I in Costa Rica? After supper this evening, I went on a walk to explore the road near the hotel. I found a field where several older boys play soccer, and nearby where younger boys play. But there were absolutely no girls in the field. The Quaker children split up by gender too, somewhat integrated. I guess siblings of different genders can still play, hopefully. March 5th, 2001. Today was very much better, except for the fact that Eduardo's cutest son fell and hurt himself during supper. He was playing with me, tapping on the window behind where I sat. Since he was kind of playing peekaboo, he ran and I smiled at him and tripped on the concrete. I was very sad for him and wanted to give him chocolate. Wow, it is windy tonight. Anna is reading a huge book of ecology of Monteverde that includes history. This interests me greatly. This morning I walked so far. When Anna and I go on walks in the woods, she tends to stop early on to sit in the middle of the path and draw. Meanwhile, I explore the area. The dog who came with us is to Bajo del Tigre was equally tired, I'm sure. The Quakers were quite nice to me when I volunteered to help in the library, but I did hear them talking about the hippie tourists who flock here with that that annoy them. Every day I contemplate more and more about spending time here, for instance, the rest of my life. College is so expensive and silly, but let me be realistic. The tourists would get annoying. I would be running away from the problems of America. I would run out of money and not find a job. I would get malaria or be attacked by tarantulas. I wouldn't have as much to offer as if I went to college first, except for simplicity and passion in my values, nothing useful. March 7th, 2001. I write from the clouds. It is chilly, and I'm sitting on the black bag for Anna's book bag. It was a long, long walk from the hotel to the cloud forest, mostly uphill. I jogged with a few short stretches. Some tourists saw me and were impressed. It is good that we rested yesterday after a walk to the biological refuge. Anna's anal personality really annoyed me yesterday, but mostly it's because I was tired. She reads too much and is too well traveled and graphs the temperature nightly. She did appreciate it when the power goes out. She doesn't appreciate it when the power goes out. It did last night. Also, it's been windy and chilly lately. We were at the Italian restaurant for supper yesterday and lit the candle on the table with Andrew's lighter. The waiter told us that his sister is from Seattle. It is cold in there and it rains all the time. It snows in the mountains. I don't know. I like it here in Costa Rica. I have to agree. March 30th, 2001. The grackle jingles as it flies limb to limb of the trees behind our house. I couldn't tell you the names of the trees. They're as foreign to me as the language that my brain and ears form into soothing sounds. I stopped picking up plant names as soon as I had learned enough Espanol to buy my suppers and fruits at the super co-ops. I smile at the plumber neighbor asked, shaking my head in agreement until he asked slowly, "No hablas español?" Similarly, I accept the plants and trees as the peacemaking entities they are. My soul is hungry for the rainforest, and it doesn't seem to mind the absence of identifying names. I lose my old American drive for cleverness in the simple country. Returning to my childlike interpretation of the world, hearing only a few familiar words in television, but understanding the world of tones and appearances, I can only understand the ones who mean the words they say. If the voice and the body contradict, I listen to the body. When I asked the plumber if he would accept a slice of gingerbread for his pay, his refusing to mention his wife and kids at home. He says he should only stay as necessary in a young woman's house. His wife will be suspicious. He is a good and honest husband, but my voice just says, "No, thank you, goodbye." I rinse out the laundry and the water, and I carry buckets to the bathtub, assuming the water would be out forever. It happens to be underwear, but this is not my intent, inviting this man to fix my sink. As he is banded, I realize this is why the grackle jingles. Living away from my home for a month has taught me to recognize the few things I left behind and the myriad useless things I left. One of the biggest misses is music, but I'm surprised that I don't miss the songs I listened to repeatedly before coming here. Whenever I get bored, I could pop in the Indigo Girls and the tape player would turn on NPR. I didn't wait to listen to my cravings. Now, I surprise myself with my desires to hear Nirvana, not listened to since high school, but I sing the songs to myself and the desire fades. New sounds are taking my heart. The cicadas and frogs, the seldom cars on the dirt road, the neighbors' dogs, or the beat of their drum. I think about my laundry habits. I wash every one of my articles. It's completely dirty. This takes 2 weeks for my 3 changes of clothes. If I did this at home, it would be a year before I washed and a year to clean them all by hand. I don't miss a single skirt. I miss nothing. My gray t-shirt, my pilgrim collar, green blouse, my fleece pants, and my green festive shorts. They have become my skin. Every bag accumulated in the kitchen, every piece of string or milk jug is reused and exhausted. All materials are appreciated, food is savored, sunsets are admired nightly, but I have no desire to take them with me. I am unattached. My home, my flesh, is where it belongs. March 31st, 2001. Today we went on a walkathon or caminata to raise money for the Friends School. We bought our labels for 1,000 colones each, $3. Each label was a piece of paper with a number that said Monteverde Coast Friends School Caminata. Mine was 42 and Anna's was 14. Before the walk, we heard the children talking. "Hey, you're number 1," they said to each other. "What are you?" "I'm 8." A lot of kids had a low number. I guess they tried to get their ages. At every kilometer or so, there was a stop post where volunteers passed out treats and stamped labels with unique prints for each post. The first post was near Stella's Bakery, where Martha, a kind old lady who winks at us, passed out dried bananas. But even before the first post was made, we made friends with Erica, a recent college graduate from Maryland. I was holding a litter bag that was handed out at the beginning, and Anna and Erica would scoop down and get all the items to fill my bag. I scooped over for just the good ones. Freshly dropped Coke bottles and bags of chips. I left the beer bottles and Erica the most of the bags to Anna. The same plastic bags were becoming embedded in the dirt road, which was so dusty we almost drowned when the cars went by. One was particularly dusty. We caught up with a group ahead, which they waited for the dust but cleared a bit. When it was not clear, Lucky eventually charged on into the clouds, her bandana over her mouth. I charged right behind her, thinking adoringly that I would apprentice for her any day. Anna and I, being sisters, can be real silly together. Erica was particularly nice in her acceptance of our silliness. For instance, when I complimented the most grotesque trash, "That is a really good one," she only laughed. By the time we got to Santa Elena, we had consumed dried banana, Milky Way candy bars, a jelly-textured papaya, candy, water. By then we had a pelican, a frog, a penguin stamp on our labels. And in Santa Elena, we did a bit of shopping while Erica guided our trash outside, stopping for groceries put behind Benito, who was walking on stilts. Apparently, this is a yearly habit for him. Just about where the dust road turned into a better country roads, we stopped for another post to eat hard candy to leave our trash bag. It was about full by then. At the next post, we got oranges, which we were meant to give us energy to climb the endless hill. Anna and Erica lagged behind, peeling Well, I popped mine in my bag and zoomed ahead. But I was overheating beyond control, and Anna was feeling asthmatic. So we stopped for a break in a shady spot while I stood on the whole time being the energetic younger sister. One time, Anna and Erica were lagging behind me top their topic of discussion. Where does she get all of that energy? Anna asked. Speed, joked Erica, poking pretend needle in her arm. We were happy to get peanuts bars at one of the next stops. It was pretty hard to come by peanut butter in Costa Rica, and then we had also ended up getting salted peanuts near the end, which we highly appreciated. Anna was talking to Erica about how this felt like Halloween, getting all these treats for walking. Erica and Anna, our world traveler, where she was for Christmas. Then we she apologized, assuming you celebrate Christmas. That was a pretty stupid assumption. Anna didn't mind. She talked about her traditional Australian New Year's dance with lots of hand clapping and shouting, "Good day!" About that time, we saw the white horse on the hill. We were supposed we were up in the most beautiful area beside the country fields forest so high that you couldn't see the mountain for the clouds. So Anna said, "White horse on a hill, make a wish." And Erica slapped her camera within a second and said, "White horse? I've never heard that superstition." And Anna rebutted that it was an old wives' truth that she believed in. Erica laughed. By this time, we had already passed Benito on his stilts, proclaiming sometimes longer legs don't do you much good. She had pineapple and popcorn at the next post. Now we were trying to really getting off into the clouds. Anna and Erica pretended to see the magnificent mountains ahead of us. I don't think there were snow-capped mountains in Costa Rica. Anna misled us with her words. That one's so tall, I cannot see the top, Erica joined in. I cannot see the top either, I say matter-of-factly. A family has been walking with us at this time, but then we got to the next post and the children ran ahead squealing, "Watermelon!" I almost ran too. Then I got to the biggest piece I could find. I didn't remember ever having watermelon in March, and the seed spitting was always my favorite athletic activity. The next post we had 2 cookies with jelly centers. We agreed it was good to be close to the end of the group because it meant we could be more liberal with how much we ate. At the next stop we had lemonade and dried pineapple. We caught up with Lucky, the 70-year-old woman who left us behind when we got groceries in Santa Elena. At the next stop, the boy my age passed out chocolate candy bars, another thing I handed over to Anna. When we reached to the next point, we realized we could not possibly eat lunch when we arrived to the view at noon. Soon after we finished our pineapple, we saw the crowd awaiting us at the finish line with all the people who beat us there. Most of them shorter legged than me. The last stamp was a blue cheetah or jaguar to be more locally native. By now we had 13 stamps, including a blue flamingo, green swan, turquoise fly, a three-toed sloth, a purple possum, and a parrot. We got another orange for our collection, and a brownie. I handed mine over to Anna. We sat in the grass where the rest and I started juggling oranges. I attracted some children, telling them that I do it just for attention. Whenever I drop one, I said I'm trying to make orange juice. A 7-year-old named David said, and his 5-year-old brother Amos keep telling me I'm good. Except their exact words are, "You're not good until you drop the orange." Like I am a different person when I do and don't mess up. I defend my circus act. Anna and I mentioned that we have 3 older siblings. Erica is shocked. Another one? The cutest 5-year-old I've ever known, Vivian, came out and sat in my lap. She told me that she is 6 and took one of my oranges. Then later she admitted she is 5. We were supposed to be able to view the Arenal volcano from the pinnacle, but the clouds were too thick. Eventually the clouds moved a bit and a boy pointed out to the Arenal lake. The oranges were about ready for juice, and Benito with his grand entrance, we all cheered, and then instantly it began raining, the hardest rain this dry season. Anna sheltered David and Amos under our umbrella, while the rest of us all crowded under a roof. We stood until the rain mostly petered out. By then, it really hit us that we had too much sugar. For some reason, we ate 2 more cookies when they were passed around. Now Erica was a bit anxious to catch her bus back to San Jose. Her friend, who was a nice school teacher, tried to hurry up and drive us down the hill. While we waited, I watched the teenage boy hugging his mother. That's how teens can be in a good environment, I resolved. At the start of our sugar crash, we piled into the Jeep and began down the hill. It looked like a window wanting to lay down and sleep. It looked out the window, wanting to lay down and sleep. We gazed out, thinking of the road we had walked in reverse and cheering. By now, Anna had a terrible headache from eating the chocolate for both of us. Eric dropped off to San Elena bus stop, and we were brought back to Monteverde. We thought about our memories and shared with a young woman we would never meet again. I considered giving her my email address, but decided it was silly as taking a picture of a passing white horse. Some magic cannot be captured for later. That night, Anna and I were in such a physical crash. From all of the walking and sweets and walkathon, we were in a sad state, but we both had this kind of headache that disabled us from moving. So we sat at first reading while Anna slaved away at making stew for tomorrow's potluck and tomorrow night's dinner. That night, night fell. Anna was reading, and I made the great journey to the kitchen to sit at the table and stare at the windows where it was raining beautifully. It soothed my headache and to watch the drip from the roof. Quite frankly, Anna and I had just as close been to being stoned as we ever had in our lives. The combination of walking 12.5 kilometers, being hot and sweaty, eating way too much sugar did us in. Eventually the stew was ready, and I talked Anna into eating some that she said her stomach was upset. She had ibuprofen and I hadn't, so we sat, attempting to keep as still as possible to prevent the pangs of headaches, but giggling uncontrollable. Some of the things we said that cracked us up were, "I've run out of chunks of stew," and the classic, "If you are really quiet, you can hear the yogurt talking." That has been a reading from Kintsugi Walnut, my own book. Thank you for listening.